Hey, good morning. Welcome to Blue Jacket Apiary. It is 6 in the morning and it is a gorgeous day. Right now, I'm sure in an hour it's not going to be because it's going to be hotter than Hades, but right now it's nice and cool. I'm out walking the dogs. And I'm not going to be giving a hive report this weekend. I'm not going to be getting into the hives. And there's a few reasons, and I sort of want to talk about those. I'm sure you've heard me mention that we're in a dearth right now. That means there's nothing blooming. It is hotter than heck out here during the day. As a matter of fact, here in Middle Missouri, it's been over 100 every day this week. Real field temperature's been 104, 105 all day, every day this week. And today is not going to be any different. It's going to be hot. And so there's a couple of reasons I'm not getting in the hives this weekend. Like I said, one is we're in a dearth. My fear is if I get in the hive and do a good solid inspection, that I start a robbing situation. I don't want other hives to get into another hive. I don't want my bees to rob each other. It just creates a whole host of problems. One, whatever hive is getting robbed, they're either going to die off because they don't have any honey in stores to survive on, or they're going to abscond, which means that they just leave their hive. They go find someplace else to live and leave that one alone, and it's empty now. So I go from 5 hives to 4. If they die off, hey, I go from 5 hives to 4, and I don't want that to happen either. The other thing is it's just hot. I mean, it's, like I said, real fuel's been up over 104, 105 every day this week. That's dangerous for, beekeepers. I mean, let's be honest about it. 104, 105 without a jacket on. You get outside in that temperature in shorts and a t-shirt, and it's just dangerous. Then if you have to wear a beekeeping jacket and the veil, it doesn't take long and things can get really dangerous really quick. So I'm not gonna do it. The other thing is, the bees are working hard right now. They know how to maintain their own hive temperature. They're HVAC pros. They understand about regulating hive temperature, and if it gets too hot, how to cool it off, and all of those things. And I think if I take the hive apart, essentially, and if I pull the boxes out, now I'm exposing them to 105, temperatures, and not that it's going to kill them. I just think it creates undue stress, and I don't want to do that. My goal is to have solid hives. The other thing I really wanted to touch on sort of briefly is, this idea of getting honey from hives. Obviously, that's where you get it. But it takes a while for the bees to get there. It's not something they do the first year because they're busy growing in numbers and they're busy getting their hive ready to store. What do I mean by that? It takes a ton of nectar to build wax. It takes a lot of nectar to make honey because they have to take it down to about 18% water, and that means they have to evaporate all of that nectar. And so the amount of work that the bees put in to make honey is tremendous. And the amount of nectar they have to get to make wax to store the honey is tremendous. And so even though I'm a second-year beekeeper, I had 2 hives last year, I've got 5 this year, I think it's important to understand really where I'm at as far as the bees are concerned. It doesn't much matter where I'm at as a beekeeper. It matters more where the bees are at. So where are they at? Well, I went into last winter with 2 hives, came out with 2, and I don't know what happened to the second hive, but I think they either absconded, meaning the bigger hive robbed the littler one, which is what I was talking about before, or they died out at the very end of winter. But I don't think they died out. I think they got robbed out and they absconded. Because when I went into the second box, I had nothing in. I mean, there was nothing in there. No bees, no nothing. It was utterly empty. So I came out of winter essentially with 1 hive. I bought 2 nukes, 2 nucleus colonies, and that's what nuke stands for. It's just a shortened term that beekeepers use. Which is 5 frames of bees. It's a really small colony, but it is a colony. You get 5 frames, you're going to get honey, you're going to get pollen, you're going to get some larvae and some brood at various stages. You're going to get, 3 or 4 full frames of bees and a queen. Essentially what you're getting is a small colony, a nucleus colony. And that's a good way to start. It's far better than a package because you've got some frame of brood. You've got some honey. You can put them in a box and they just take off. With a package, it takes them a while. Unless you've got drawn comb, they have to draw the comb, and then the queen has to get busy, and it's just about a month or two delay in their progress. Where with a nuke, you start off, leaps and bounds ahead of where you'd be with a package. So I'm a second-year beekeeper, but 3 of my colonies are first-year colonies. And I say that because, well, all 5 of mine are, and I'll explain why. 2 of them are. Let's start with the 2 nukes. The 2 nukes are first-year colonies because I just got them this year. It takes a while to build up the colony size. It takes a while to build up the comb that they're going to need to get bigger, get more honey. Okay. My survivor hive, I did a split back end of May, if I recall correctly. So doing a split, I shrink the size of the colony on purpose because I wanted more colonies. So essentially what I did was I took a single colony, took the queen and half of the brood and half the bees and put them in another box. And the box that now has no queen makes a queen. So now I'm down to, again, a nuke-sized colony, which means essentially they're a first-year colony. So when I did that split, I took 1 second-year colony and made 2 first-year colonies. So now I'm up to 4 first-year colonies. Well, if you go back and watch the videos, my first year, or my Saskatraz queen split emergency fiasco thing, now I took a first-year colony and really shrunk them again because of my inept beekeeping, quite honestly. So now I took 1 first-year colony as far as size is concerned and as far as progress is concerned, and I split them again and made 2 colonies. So what happens is now I've got 2 really small colonies. So essentially every colony I have, all 5 of them, are first-year colonies. So would I love to get honey this year? Absolutely. Will I? No, because the bees are just not in a position to be able to do that because they haven't got to that point. They need time to grow. They need time to build out comb. They need time to just become a bigger colony. They need time just to get it all together, essentially. So that's where I'm at. Will I get honey next year? Man, I hope so. I've put a lot of time and energy into these colonies. I try to manage them as best as I can. I don't treat them, and that's controversial enough as it is. And I don't treat because I want the bees to be as strong as they can be. I want them to survive. I want them to figure it out. I want the strongest hives I can possibly have. The nukes I bought last year, the nukes I bought this year are all Varroa sensitive bees. I mean, they're strains. The Russians, they come from Russia. They're extremely Varroa sensitive. They take care of the Varroa mite themselves. The Carniolans, same thing. The bees I bought last year from a beekeeper out way west in Missouri, he's got their Minnesota hygienics is what they're called. They were developed by a professor up at the University of Minnesota. They're Italian bees, but they've been line bred and selected for hygienic behavior. So they're Varroa sensitive as well. So everything I've got out there, all the bees I have should know how to deal with Varroa mites on their own. So I don't want to interrupt their progress. I'm not going to help them out in that respect. They need to figure it out because I want them to be the strongest survivors I can have. And so that's why I don't treat. Plus, I just don't want all that chemical junk in my hives. I just don't. So that's where I'm at. So that's your hive report, quote unquote, for the week. Stay cool, y'all. It's just hot. The sun is coming up. I'm going to go get some coffee and relax. I have to go pick up my son from camp. So it's going to be about 7 or 8 hours on the road today. So y'all stay cool. Be nice to each other. Be kind.